All right, if you're planning a move, there's always that one giant question hanging over your head, right? How long is this really going to take? I mean, it's something so many of us go through, but the timeline can feel like a total mystery. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to map out the entire journey from that very first thought all the way to that last unpacked box.
So, be honest. Think moving is just a weekend job. You know the drill. A blur of boxes, a couple of pizzas, and boom, you're done. We all kind of think that, right? But what if I told you that's just a teeny tiny piece of the real picture?
Well, here comes the reality check. Get this. The average time for the whole shebang, from the moment you decide to move until you're actually done, is somewhere between 6 and 10 weeks. Yeah, seriously. It's a full-on marathon, not a sprint. And that weekend you were thinking about? That's just one little part of the race.
So yeah, that's the average journey. But don't worry, we're going to show you the map. Think of this as your guide. We're going to break down that whole journey step by step so you can navigate it like a pro and hopefully avoid those nasty last-minute surprises.
All right, let's get into it. First up, the big picture, the real moving timeline. Before you can tackle a move, you've got to understand just how big it really is, all the different pieces of the puzzle.
Okay, check out this breakdown. Moving day itself, look at that. It's just one single day. But look at all the other stuff. We're talking 1 to 8 weeks for just planning and searching, 8 to 10 weeks for selling and contracts, and settling in, that can take up to 12 weeks. It's wild, right? It really puts it into perspective that moving is a massive project, not just a one-day thing.
So, let's dive into the first part of that marathon, all the paperwork and planning. This is what I like to call the invisible work. It's all the super important stuff that happens way before you even think about taping up a box.
And believe me, this is where a ton of time just vanishes. You could spend 1 to 8 weeks, that's up to 2 months, just hunting for a new house. Then, selling your old property, that can take around 8 weeks. And the legal stuff, the whole conveyancing and contract process, that can add another 10 weeks to the timeline all by itself. It's huge.
And you know, this quote here really just hits the nail on the head. It says, many people underestimate the duration, thinking it's just about the move itself. However, the initial stages can take several weeks on their own. It's so true. We all get focused on the moving truck, but these early stages are the real time eaters. If you plan for them from the start, you'll have a much more realistic schedule.
Okay, so once all that paperwork is finally chugging along, the real physical countdown can begin. This is where we get to switch gears from legal documents to packing tape.
Now, the strategy here is actually pretty simple, but man, is it effective. Step 1, declutter and organize. Seriously, don't pay to move junk you don't need. Step 2, book your movers. Get this done early, like 2 months ahead, especially if you're moving in the summer. And step 3, pack room by room. It's the only way to stay sane, trust me.
So, the big question, how long does all that packing actually take? If you're doing it yourself, have a look at these numbers. A little studio apartment might take you 6 to 10 hours. Not too bad. But a 2-bedroom, we're talking 15 to 20 hours. A 3-bedroom, maybe 25 to 37 hours. And a big 4+ bedroom house, you could be looking at 50 to 75 hours of work. That's almost 2 full 40-hour work weeks. Seeing it like this, yeah, it really shows you what a massive task it is.
All right, so to make those hours really count, here are some pro tips. Definitely start packing 3 to 4 weeks before you move. Go one room at a time. And please, label every single box with what's inside and where it goes. But listen up, the absolute game changer is the essentials box. You pack this with stuff for your first night. Coffee maker, toothbrush, toilet paper, a change of clothes. Your exhausted future self will be so grateful.
And here we go. We've arrived at the main event, moving day. This is it, the day all that planning has been for. It's going to be intense, for sure, but if you know what to expect, you can totally conquer it.
So, if you've hired professional movers, here's a rough idea of how long it takes them just to load the truck. For a 1-bed apartment, maybe 1 to 2 hours. For a 3-bed house, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours, and for a bigger 4 or 5-bedroom place, they could be spending 4 to 5.5 hours just getting everything loaded on. Unloading is usually a little quicker, but not by a whole lot.
Okay, the truck is empty. Now what? Your first priority, your only priority really, is to get the bedrooms and bathrooms functional. Don't worry about perfection. Just make the beds, set up the shower curtain, find the toilet paper. Trust me, having a comfortable place to crash after that long day is, well, it's everything.
All right, next up, the final mile. Because even with the most perfect plan, things can happen. Let's talk about the twists and turns, the key things that can really change your moving timeline, for better or for worse.
Honestly, the biggest timeline factor comes down to one simple choice. Are you hiring professional movers or are you doing it yourself? A pro team can knock out in a single day what might take you and your buddies an entire weekend of backbreaking work. It's that classic trade-off, right? Money versus your time, your stress levels, and your physical energy.
And then you have the hidden delays, the things you don't always plan for. Bad weather can make everything slow and miserable. Property access issues, like a narrow door or a super long driveway, can add a surprising amount of time. Oh, and stairs. We'll get to those. And of course, peak hour traffic. You have to build a little buffer into your day for this stuff.
Okay, speaking of stairs, check out this super specific detail. It's called the stair factor. For every flight of stairs, you can add about 30 minutes to your move for every 10 cubic meters of stuff you have. So if you're in a third floor walk-up, well, you can see how that time adds up like crazy. It's definitely something you need to tell your movers about ahead of time.
And finally, after that moving truck pulls away, surprise, the work is not over, not even close. It can take anywhere from 1 to 12 weeks to fully unpack and actually feel settled. For some people, it's a quick week-long blitz, but for most of us, it's a slow burn over a few months as you figure out where everything goes and really start to make the new place feel like home.
Look, at the end of the day, moving is a long haul. There's no getting around that. But it doesn't have to be total chaos. A good plan, one that understands the real timeline, can transform what could be a super stressful time into a much smoother transition. So there you have it. You've got the roadmap for the whole journey. It's a long road for sure, but it is absolutely doable. Now that you have the map, the only question left is, what's your first step?